A recent tweet from David Pagnotta may have revealed that the Blackhawks are changing their thought process on this year's trade deadline. But we also have to talk about Connor Bedard. He's been showing a lot of frustration recently, and I figured this is something that we need to have a little conversation about. But before we get into all of this news here, we noticed that 78% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're looking for a spot to get all your Blackhawks news, everything from trades, signings, rumors, you're all in the right spot. Make sure to stay a while, hit the sub button, and join us along the journey to the #1 overall pick, and hopefully it'll be Macklin Celebrini in a Chicago Blackhawks jersey. But we're going to start this one off here today with the trade deadline. Have the plans changed by the Chicago Blackhawks from not doing anything at all? Well, a tweet from David Pagnotta, or a retweet, I guess you could say, from David Pagnotta, revealed that the Chicago Blackhawks had some scouts in the Vegas and Boston game. Now, this is a bit of an interesting take here. Now, why would the Blackhawks have a scout watching Vegas and Boston, two of the top teams in the NHL, if they did not plan on making a move with one of these two teams, or at least trying to figure out if there was someone they would like on this team? Now, we also have a tweet here later on in this video from Charlie Roumeliotis that revealed 5 Blackhawks that could be moved at this year's deadline. So this may have a play in this, but Noah, what do you think about the scouts being there in that Vegas and Boston game, watching them and looking at the players there?
I think it's just due diligence, to be completely honest with you. Obviously the Blackhawks have a couple pieces, we've been talking about. Obviously, we're going to talk about a little bit later, Tyler Johnson, Tayler Raddysh. But, the pieces that could help Vegas and Boston, I think this is just solely due diligence, if I'm being honest. But
these are considered the teams that I think the Blackhawks would trade with over this trade deadline. Two teams that are bound to make the playoffs and looking to add, especially in the absence of Mark Stone now, which I think is a bit of a question mark on that by the Vegas Golden Knights, as well as Boston, who have lost many pieces over the past few seasons, but are still right there as a top playoff team. But like you said, we're going to move on to the article that Charlie Roumeliotis posted, that are 5 Blackhawks that could possibly be traded. And the first one he has here is Tayler Raddysh. Now, we're not going to cover all of them. I just picked 2 of the top ones that I think would be most likely to be traded. Now, Tayler Raddysh definitely having a down season compared to what he has in his past, but last season, 20 goals, and he had 37 points in 77 games. This year, 11-55, a major step back from what we've seen, but the big thing with Tayler Raddysh is he's making very, very close to league minimum, and as well as an RFA at the end of the season. And I think that someone could see his stats from last season and consider him being a pretty good piece to add, especially as an RFA going into the playoffs and especially in the offseason. I think he could definitely change his season around if he were anywhere but Chicago. But no, what do you think about a Tayler Raddysh going to maybe a Vegas, maybe a Boston, or a team similar to that?
Well, the league minimum thing is obviously really, really attractive to two teams that are, cap has been a sort of a theme for them. But to be honest with you, I think Tayler Raddysh is kind of the core of the Blackhawks, if I'm being honest. Obviously he's on an expiring deal. The Blackhawks are going to have to sign him back. If I'm being honest, I think the Blackhawks should sign him back and then maybe give him a bridge deal, a 1 to 2 year deal. If he returns to that 20 goal scorer, then maybe you explore a trade, if I'm being honest. But obviously I think he's very attractive for the Golden Knights and the Bruins. Yeah,
I really think it's a 50-50% chance of what happens, whether he gets traded, whether he gets kept. I think the Blackhawks, like you said, would like to keep him. He's been a part of this team, especially last season with the team they had to get that first overall pick and put up 20 goals. Obviously showed that he can do that, and this year is just a down season. Maybe sign him off a pretty tough year, sign him for a little, like you said, a bridge deal, not too much money, get him back to what he possibly could be, especially with Connor Bedard. But, it's also a possibility of teams liking that contract as well, like you said, and trying to go after him and try and sign him for the long run if he does end up putting some special numbers up on some other team. But the second that Charlie Roumeliotis had is a guy that we've been talking about for ages involved in trades. It's Tyler Johnson. The one thing that Tyler Johnson is a bit wary of, or the teams are wary of for Tyler Johnson, is that $5 million cap hit, as you can see there on the second paragraph. That's a big number to swallow, especially if you're one of the top teams, cap-stricken, looking to make a playoff push with a very close cap to the maximum. Even if you cut that in 50% with a 50% retention from the Blackhawks, still is a lot. So another bottom team like the Blackhawks would probably look to broker that deal. So it's a $1.25 million. But Tyler Johnson, like I said, we've said it so much that he is such a playoff guy. He's a guy that could do really whatever you need, especially in a playoff scenario where he's had so much experience. And I think that would be the same scenario for Tyler Johnson as Tayler Raddysh if he were to go anywhere. It would be one of those teams that are guaranteed to make the playoffs. I wouldn't even say a team that is bordering a playoff push or trying to make one. I would say it's a team that is pretty well, you could say right now, in the playoffs. But no, what do you think about Tyler Johnson? I know we've spoken about him a lot, but he's just he's a different guy compared to a lot of these guys at the trade deadline.
I think he's more realistic than Tayler Raddysh, to be honest with you. Obviously, the $5 million cap hit is a bit, teams are going to be kind of scared away from that. But I'm looking at a team like the New Jersey Devils here. Obviously, they haven't got over the hump in the playoffs. They're trying to make a run. You talked about the third team broker, which we've both expressed that we're big fans of. I mean, he's not going to be crazy expensive. Maybe a third, maybe a fourth round pick. Throw that in there. I think New Jersey Devils, maybe the Colorado Avalanche, another team I'm thinking of here, who needs center depth. And then obviously we've talked about Vegas, who could use it, and Boston, who obviously has a lot of question marks down the middle. So there's a lot of suitors, I think, that could be, in the market for Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, and also speaking of that third team broker, I would like the Blackhawks to maybe do something with their very low cap hit. Try to get a third team broker. Maybe they were there watching those two teams, willing to, engage in conversation about being a third team broker for if they make a trade. Anything like that, I think, is a great possibility for this team. Get a pick here and there. Just add to the plethora that you already have. Make it either a trade piece down the road or actually make the pick. Trade the prospect. There's nothing you can do that will be a bad decision for a third team broker, especially with a 1-year contract. And how much cap space you have. So anything like that, I think, is a very good idea for the Blackhawks. But let's move on to Connor Bedard. He's showing some frustration lately, and for good cause. I mean, especially last game against the Colorado Avalanche, where he took a blatant slash and was no call. That's definitely something that should have been called, biased or unbiased. I think that anybody could agree this would be a slashing call on the wrist, no puck even close to the play. So the frustration, I think, is warranted. But even apart from this, you've seen the frustration in Connor Bedard over the past few games, over several plays where he's not gotten a call. He hasn't been able to score on some plays. He's showing frustration there, but this is a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously you don't want to be frustrated in plays like this because you'll just get on top of yourself and, keep making the mistakes if you're making a mistake, or just keep getting over yourself. But it also is good in the sense that he's showing frustration. He wants this team to win. He wants this team. He cares about this team. And, that's a main part of what Connor Bedard is here doing. You don't want him to go out there and just be a very good player, an excellent player, and not care about the team. It shows that he cares about the team. It shows that he's passionate about what he's doing for the Blackhawks and the city of Chicago, and he's willing to, go out there and do his best to make things happen. So, Noah, what do you think about the frustration that Bedard is showing, like the good and the bads of it?
I'd be kind of concerned if he wasn't showing a little bit of frustration, he's trying to be the best player he can be. And when he's not getting calls, I'm not one to give excuses and blame the refs here and there, but that's a slashing penalty. But, we know the talent that he is and the player that he is. And when you're not getting calls like that, and when, you're trying to become the best player you can be, it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, especially a guy like Connor Bedard, all the eyes are going to be on him. Not so much from the referees, maybe. You can make the argument the referee wasn't looking at the play, he was looking at the puck, which I could fully agree. I didn't see the referees, so, I wasn't looking at him on that play. Maybe that was the case. Whatever. It's one play. Can't get over it too much. It's going to happen here and there. It happens to everybody, not just Connor Bedard. But, all eyes are on him. Everything is going to be put onto his shoulders, whether it's his fault or not. He's involved in anything. So you can see the frustration, brewing. And I think it's a good thing that we're seeing it. Like you said, it was bound to happen at some point. He is the guy on this team. There's no putting that argument anywhere else. It really is on him, but you got to remember, he's still only 18, 19 years old. He's still a kid, and the frustration that he's showing, I think, is something that will evolve over the next few seasons, even over this rest of the season, that it's going to start to, go down, but it'll stay at the still competitive level that you want to see. But, I think Connor Bedard's still in a good spot. I don't think there's anything on him that's going to be pressuring him too much or whatnot, but, it shows some good signs.
it's time to get a Matt Rimpey or Arbor Jackeye on the team to play with them. So whenever anything happens like that, they can just body hook the other guy, whoever did it. So
I don't hate the idea. Marty McSorley to your Wayne Gretzky, something like that. I think it's bound to happen for the Blackhawks, but that's for another video. But that's all we got for this one. If you did enjoy, make sure to give the video a like. Make sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already, and you want to keep up to date with every Blackhawks bit of news as it happens. But that's all we got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.